In today's episode, we're going to sit down with Louie Lavella. He is an entertainment branding expert. He helps entertainment personalities, nightclubs, concerts, and festivals increase their brand awareness and to put butts in their seats. Now, you're saying to yourself, I'm not in that industry, but the techniques and the strategies that he's going to share are applicable to any company. He'll be talking about the importance of knowing your brand and knowing your audience.
Welcome to this edition of Peak Performers Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Thor Conklin here. We give you the tricks, the tips, the tools, the strategy, the technology, and the psychology peak performers use in order to get more done and execute at the highest level. If you know what to do but struggle with getting it all done, or simply want to raise your game to the next level, this podcast is for you. Sit back and enjoy. Louie Lavella is an entertainment branding expert. His clients are entertainment personalities, nightclubs, concerts, and festivals. He creates brand and marketing strategies to engage and connect people and companies with their audience. Working within the shark-infested waters of a nightclub and music industry as a marketing and branding consultant, Louie has been able to deliver high-profit solutions for his clients. He has been called a mediapreneur. In his television days, he had the opportunity to interview the likes of Lady Gaga, Richard Branson, the Backstreet Boys, and many more. Louie, thank you so much for joining us today. I know the audience is going to get so much out of today's episode. And I tell you, your background is absolutely amazing. How did you get into this business?
Wow. Well, thanks for having me on, first of all, and thanks to everybody out there spending some time out of their day to listen. I love that. But yes, so I started as a late teens, jumping into the nightlife business. I'm in the music marketing and nightlife business. And everybody has their part-time job when you're in college, right? You might work at retail, grocery store. Maybe you're a bartender, maybe, or a doorman if you're huge, and I'm not huge. But I love the business thing. You know, my parents are business owners. My uncle's a business owner. I've always had that business entrepreneurial bug since I was super small. And entertainment industry has always been in my blood too. Just I did extra work as a kid and a little modeling for, toy things. And just I thought, I need to get in the entertainment industry. This is where I want to be. So my part-time job was working for nightclubs. I was helping bring people in, help promote. And I knew that was a cool business to be in. I loved music, but I didn't want to be a nightclub promoter for my entire life. And I started to formulate the plans on becoming who I am today. So that's really how I started, just jumping right into it.
Now what's interesting is, bringing people into a venue and promoting a nightclub or an act or of any sort is really, what I'm doing. I'm promoting myself. I'm promoting what I'm doing. And there's so many people listening to this episode that are out there promoting their brand or their business or themselves. What are some of the tricks, the techniques, and the secrets that you use in promoting a venue or a personality?
Absolutely. And even throwing myself into that same bucket on how to, just like you just mentioned, how to promote myself, to get out of just being a nightclub promoter to someone who books concerts to somebody who now works with festivals and musicians. It all came down to knowing your brand and knowing your audience, right? And when you connect those two, it becomes really, a lot easier to speak the language or show nowadays in social media the posts that the audience would resonate with. And so even back in the day, I knew I had to level up. So how do I get more authority in my business, right? And I knew getting on radio, television, all that kind of stuff was going to make me a more powerful promoter in the scene and level up, so to speak, my own business and my own authority. But when we're talking about, let's say, somebody else's business, so if I'm working with nightlife venues or if I'm working with celebrities, I had to get that same mentality into them as a brand. So if it's a musician, that celebrity status on any level, I wanted to make sure they knew who they were and they resonated with whatever sliver of audience that they were going to resonate with. There's an audience for everybody nowadays, especially in our social media world. But even back in the day before social media really picked up, you would make sure, if you're doing flyering, right? Everybody had flyers on their cars and we threw them off, right? If I had a team of people who are flyering, we had to make sure, is this image and message going to resonate with the people that are going to come out? And now where do we place that flyer? That's the same thing nowadays on social media, right? And we all get that part. Who's our audience? Who do we target, our ads to, and that kind of idea. So it really took that similar concept, and now it expanded globally and digitally, which is even cooler. And I love my business now even more than ever. But you really had to resonate. So many people nowadays, they just get the generic version of who they are. So if you're a hip hop musician, or if you're just a website designer, or you're just an entrepreneur like myself, you might just come up with the generic version. I'm a marketing guy. Well, but who really are you, right? So for me, I'm a music marketing guy, and I work with cool celebrities, and I work with record labels and festivals. Now, that info can bridge to any industry, but I really had to dig deep on who my brand really was.
Yeah, that is so important. I've got a good buddy of mine that's an SEO expert out in Denver, and all he does is HVAC contractors. That's it.
Cool.
That's all he does. Now, if you're an HVAC contractor, guess what? And you want some SEO, who are you going to look for? Him.
The best, yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's so important. Let's talk a little bit about the self-promotion. I know that I struggled in the beginning of being the face, the brand, the person at the front. And because I didn't want to make it all about me, I wanted to make it about the message. What do you tell your celebrities, or do they still have the same issues that the non-celebrity group has? Hesitation of being the face of the brand or making it about them? Or is their egos just so big?
I think, from what I've seen, they all still do. Now, it may be less hesitation than, whoever, the HVAC guy, right?
Yeah.
Who may think nobody cares what I say. Where if you're getting into music or festivals, or you're trying to be a model, whatever it is, you already have a little bit of that confidence in you because you're okay with doing this style of business. So you have less hesitation, but I still see hesitation. Even I hesitate still sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put a quick article together, or maybe my 2-minute podcast is going to be stop caring what everybody thinks. Just go out and put your message out, because there's going to be a sliver of haters. And I tell that to all my, musicians, and, what if they don't like the music? Well, some people aren't going to like the music. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then that's okay. But there's going to be a sliver of audience that loves the music. And as long as you look past that, everybody's going to, what are they going to say about this? Or what comments are they going to make? And you're just working for a specific audience, then stop caring what everybody else thinks and just put out your content, right? And again, if you already know who your brand is and you know who your audience is, you can sort of look past that. But you're right, even musicians and celebrities, the more fan base they get, the easier it becomes, because it overshadows any of the haters. Well, I got 1 million people who message me and I got 2 people who hate me, kind of idea, right? So, but there still is that hesitation, absolutely. And even, like I said, even myself, and I've been on a ton of podcasts as an expert, and I'm getting featured in magazines, and that's all part of my authority that I was trying to build this last half of this year. Was let's get more authority so I can level up again. But even then, I'm thinking, man, did people really want to hear what I say? And you always have to look past that and get that confidence back in you and say, there's going to be people who absolutely do want to hear what you say or see what you do.
Yeah. I recommend all the time to clients and prospects, stop caring what other people think. You got to get over that, and you got to find some haters, because that tells you that you're heading down the right path, and you're starting to narrow in on the people that really want your message and you resonate with.
Yeah, and the haters could be helpful sometimes. They
Absolutely.
They could show you where you shouldn't be going. Well, that particular style of person is not my fan. It's okay when there's haters. Absolutely nobody wants negative feedback and people trying to make fun of you, of course, but you're always going to have that. And now, sort of out in the open, now that social media is there and everybody's a little more confident behind their keyboard, but you got to build a little bit of that thick skin and know that it happens. People will complain about Starbucks if they get the wrong, cafe latte. So it doesn't mean that, Starbucks has to close down or cower in the corner. It just means that you can learn from that, right? So you absolutely need haters as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone recently wrote in and said, I don't like the fact that you chop these episodes up into 3 segments. I just want them all at once and just post the whole hour at the same time. I'm like, my audience are peak performers. They don't have an hour to carve out of their day. They just want to take their stuff quickly, move on, and I'll see you next week. So it's like, that's perfect. That's not the audience I'm trying to attract.
Absolutely. It's great to get that feedback. And once in a while, some of that feedback is an aha moment.
Yeah.
And that's cool too.
Yeah. Someone wrote in and said the lag time between when the show started and when I actually started talking, there was about 3 seconds. And could I cut that down to a half a second? I'm like, shoot, yeah, just save 2.5 seconds for people. Yeah, I like that. I could do that.
Easy.
Absolutely. So growing up, did you have a mentor or anybody in your life that kind of helped you through the process?
Like I mentioned earlier, like both my parents are business owners. My uncle was always had an entrepreneurial mindset. So, I would watch them and learn from them. But I also was a huge fan of reading books. Now I'm a big fan of audiobooks because I get them in faster, right?
Yes.
Trying to be a peak performer, get as many as I can in. But yeah, reading books like the Tony Robbins and the Kiyosaki's as I was growing up, things like that. I going to school and then going to university for business. The amount of times I had debates in university in business class because I was running my own business as well as, I actually dabbled in the corporate world while I was in university in my first couple of years too. It did both at the same time and I was doing it. And so it was funny because these professors were now teaching the theory or whatever they had learned, but I was bringing up, points that were happening in the real world. And they didn't like those answers. And I was like, guys, I'm doing this though. Like today I have to go fire somebody, blah, 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 blah. This is what's happening right now. And sort of what you're teaching is no longer applicable, or it's only one side of the story kind of idea. So I was always a fan of learning constantly and taking in those books and then testing and doing it myself, right? And not only following what other people are doing, but then taking that info and doing it, falling on my face and succeeding and then seeing what actually works for myself.
Yeah, things are changing so rapidly. I tell people, look, if you go and you learn absolutely everything there is to know about social media today, a year from now, it's going to be outdated. You've got to keep changing. What are some of the trends that you're seeing in your area and what's working now? I'm a very forward-thinking guy. So I wrote an article that got a lot of heat, which was fantastic. Again, that's great.
About email marketing, right?
Yeah.
And everybody asked me that question. Louis, you're hating on email marketing. What's your problem? Email marketing works great. It's the be-all, end-all right now. And I'm like, no, there's nothing wrong with email marketing. But what I'm trying to say is things always change, right? And I'm always trying to test out new things because open rates get lower and lower. And what happens when I have 10% open rates now in whatever amount of years from now, and I'm like, this sucks. What the hell do I do now? And I haven't been testing anything, right? I don't want to stay with what works and not test something new. So that particular article kind of answered look, you either give me a spam email address anyways, or you give me your email address and Gmail filters it so you don't get it, or it finally gets through but you don't open it. There's my 30-40% open rates. Or you do open it, now what's my click through? So all this has to come into play, right? So I hammered on email marketing a little bit, which was fun, and I said, this is what I'm using that works. I'm building new funnels for myself that are all retargeting. I put a whole new free video course together, and instead of you opting in first and then I send you the email automation, you can just watch them in sequence. When you're done video 1, just click over to video 2. And the cool thing is so for Facebook, for example, I'm using a Facebook video and I'm dark posting that video and I'm embedding it onto my landing page. But I can track who watches that video now and build audiences out of it. I know you've watched number 1, 50-75% of it, but not number 2 yet. I can send you some new, you know what I mean? I can send you stuff because we're all on Facebook and Instagram. So I'm using that and it's starting to work really well. It's a great test on the side of my traditional way of doing things where I would get you to opt in first, still a free course, but then you'd get the email once a day. But I noticed I'd have 1,000 people opt in. And again, 30-40% open rates. I'm losing like 600 people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to. Now, again, I have to spend some money retargeting as opposed to the free email. But what's the trade-off on spending a few dollars continuing to show relevant content? Here's a checklist for video 2. Did you watch it yet? Do you know what I mean? In front of somebody. And by the time they're done that free video series, I can maybe convert them into a great client, right? So I'm testing these new things out. So retargeting and doing things differently, I think is one thing that most marketers and entrepreneurs should be looking at. And of course, there's going to be amazing opportunities in this way different level of VR, Snapchat spectacles, and all this cool stuff that's going to come out. But I think that's very forward thinking. And some of us guys who are always playing super far in the future will be on that. But for the most part, the entrepreneur needs to really consider new ways of marketing and retargeting. A lot of people don't do retargeting yet. Yeah. This is like 2015. We were saying, guys, you should get on retargeting now, right?
It's amazing, and I'm doing the opposite. I'm going back old school.
Cool.
I'm meeting people for lunch.
I love lunch.
I'm picking up. Well, what I found is opportunities were coming and I didn't have any time left in my schedule. And I'm like, look, I'm not doing, I was just not doing lunch. I was working through that. I was doing whatever I was doing here at the office. And I realized that I'm probably missing some opportunities here. And I'm definitely missing some opportunities to really connect with people. And then I'm like, when's the last time I got on the phone and really spoke with some people that were prospects or kind of prospects of prospect? And the more I'm doing that, not only am I having a great time and we're really connecting at a deep level, I don't have the open rate issue. I don't have, I'm too busy or it went into the spam folder. So I'm always encouraging people, make sure you don't forget to connect. One-on-one, on the phone. Do it on Zoom. Do it on Skype. I love doing it. I'd much rather do a Zoom or a Skype call with video because then I can see the face.
You bet. Yeah.
So
and it's such a great point. It's a great resolution for anybody listening to this now in 2017 on figuring out what people have forgotten, and you get in on that. I mean, I'm sure if I picked up the phone, I can regain my touch. But you're right. I mean, it's something that even myself should get back on the phone. Now I have people book, the 30-minute consultations, things like that. But to go out and do a sales, push or have the lunches is important for all of us to consider. Using the nightlife storyline, there was a couple of clubs that I was consulting, and it's a street full of clubs, and they were not busy, but everybody else had the lineup, and they were doing all the social media right, and they had great engagement. People were coming in and out, but just wasn't clicking. And I said, nobody's flyering anymore. What if we get 3 girl promoters on the street and start handing out passes to come in and talking to people? Boy, did we fill up that club fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
and then everybody started doing the flying because they thought, man, Lavella's doing it. We're on it. Right.
Right.
And it was, exactly what you said. Think old school sometimes, and that could be extremely powerful.
Yeah. Just make those connections. Tell us some about your daily habits. What do you do every day in order to be successful?
I love, like I said, at least getting through a chapter or so of audiobooks. I'm a huge fan of documentaries and webinars. So usually I go to bed around 3 a.m. and not being out at nightclubs. I just consult them most of the time now. That's great. I don't have to be out there. But, I'll stay up with my laptop, make notes and get on YouTube or, usually when I'm hitting pages, Facebook's retargeting me with these webinars anyways. And I'll watch them, or I'll buy courses and I'll learn. I mean, that's something I do every single day. I either watch a webinar or piece of a webinar, and I learn how I can sell as well, but I'm also learning little golden nuggets. And of course, podcasts. I love podcasts. I like to listen to at least a podcast every single day and get something like this, like what we're doing here, somebody else's point of view. I'm a big guy who likes to trend hunt and looks at other industries. What's going on there? How can I bring it to music and nightlife?
Yeah. And what are your competitors doing? They're doing something. Let's see what we can learn. What I also love, too, is in your voice, your enthusiasm, your energy, and your presence comes through. And I think that's extremely effective in what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't
love what you're doing, right?
I know. Well, yeah. But, but how many people have we seen? It's like, so what do you do? Well, I help Perry. It's like, whoa, I just want to stick a needle in my eye or something.
Exactly. You really do have to love what you do, especially when you're an entrepreneur and there's going to be those hardships and it always lands on your shoulders, especially at the beginning. It's not just a job where you have those pressures, which is still okay, but it's still, you're going to get your paycheck because somebody else is really worrying about the success of the company, so to speak. Now it's all on your shoulders. So you got to love what you do. Otherwise, that extra pressure and stress that comes in and out, it's gonna suck, right?
It's not so much what you say, but how you say it. How do you come across? And you've got great presence there. Give me one of your biggest strengths.
Strengths. I love to build doors beside the doors that are closed.
Ooh, I like that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. So here's a quick example. I wanted to get on radio. This is years ago when radio was still cool, right? And podcasting was just starting. And I thought, you know what? Internet's starting to come around, but I wanted to get on radio as a radio host, like the Ryan Seacrest of the world, top 10, because I'm in music. And I thought, if I can get on my local radio station, people will see me as some sort of celebrity. Again, I'm always trying to level up. And this is building authority. Then it'll be easier to, run events because I'm not just a great promoter. Now I'm also a radio personality, right? So cool plan. But no radio stations are hiring. They're seeing their decline, right? Internet's picking up. Online podcasting is starting to hit. There's online radio stations going on with music. So they're not really hiring, even though I had connections in them. But there was no room for new guy. So I thought, okay, door's closed. I can keep knocking on that, but let's forget that idea. Why don't I build a door beside it and kick that one open? So what I did was I learned how to produce my own radio show. Nowadays, it's a lot easier for us to learn, but back then it was, what software do I use? How do I put the music together? Do I do the sound bites first and then edit them? All that kind of fun junk, right? And I built my own syndicated radio show, the Dance Top 10.
Nice.
I hustled like crazy, got syndicated myself, and got on over 350 radio stations around the world. So not just locally, around the world.
Wow.
Some terrestrial, some online, that kind of idea. And it really, pushed up my authority and it got me on radio. But I seem to have done that over and over again where, okay, if I can't get through the normal door, I will build one beside that and kick that one open instead. That's a good strength that I believe that now I've seen happen over and over again in my life. So it's a good strength that I know that I have.
I love that. And you said you build the door. You're not just looking for another door that's out there. You're building it. You're creating something that wasn't there before.
Absolutely. And that's a cool strength to have because I think, as entrepreneurs, we build stuff out of nothing. We create money out of thin air. Like when you really think about it, we find solutions to problems and we build doors. We don't have to always look. And not to say that you don't keep knocking on a door or you look for other doors. Those are great avenues as well. But if you're able to also build your own door, that is extremely strong to have.
I love that. I was just thinking of that metaphor of a house sitting there. It's like, well, go around the side, see if there's a window, see if that's open, see if there's a back door. There might even be a chimney that you can go down. There's all kinds of possibilities. There's always a way. And I love that. And I was thinking about sitting there knocking on the front door. What you got to do is you got to hire somebody to continue knocking on the front door while you check the back door. Or build your new door.
Exactly. There's always a sledgehammer.
Keep all the options open. That's right. That's why I'm Thor. I've got a hammer. I just need some nails. Love it. Okay, what about your biggest weakness?
Weakness, I think focus is a problem. I love to, like I said, learn all the kinds of new things and get into all these new webinars and think those are great ideas. I think focus is always, and maybe it's not just me, maybe it's everybody out there, but I know personally, I probably have ADD and I just have never been, I've never been diagnosed. And I bet you everybody has it nowadays with the social media world, but I've always been that way.
Yeah.
Focus could be broken. I'm always trying to work on several things at once. And I the last couple of years though, I've been very good at the saying no to other projects and to focusing. Like I would be like, oh, cool, I'm going to do a new podcast and another radio show. And, I've been asked, even the other day, hey, Louis, where's your Dance Top 10? I want to syndicate it again. You've stopped doing it. And because that wasn't in my wheelhouse anymore. I did that. Then I moved to television and, and it's like, ooh, maybe I should do it. It only takes an hour and a bit, but no.
Yeah.
Right. I need to focus on things that are, in my wheelhouse, that are income generating or that are very fun for me to do. And I think that's been a weakness of mine. It probably always will be. But if I realize that's a weakness, I think I can keep sort of control over it.
Yeah. And saying no is so important. And sometimes those no's are things that are really good. They're just not the best. For the last 16 years, I've been driven by the question of why some people achieve amazing results and others don't. The answer? 90% of their success came from their psychology. So if 90% of their success comes down to their psychology, what was the one thing that enabled them to produce the results that others were not? Their ability to execute, their ability to get things done. Now, we all know how to get things done, but some of us do it better than others. And some of us are not even coming close to tapping our potential. So if you're truly committed to tapping your potential and really becoming a peak performer and getting the results that you need, want, and desire, take your phone and text the word BE Summit. That stands for Business Execution Summit. One word, BE Summit, and text that to 41411. I'm going to send out some additional information on our upcoming event that will truly teach you the science of execution. Thank you so much for listening today. I really do appreciate your time, and I hope you found today's show valuable. If you would like to receive these shows automatically to your phone or to your computer, simply go to iTunes and subscribe. After listening to several of the shows, if you're so inclined, please leave us a 5-star rating, as this helps us reach additional people and spread the message. If you're truly committed to taking your life to the next level and doing whatever it takes to become a peak performer, but something's holding you back, something is blocking your way, and you just can't seem to figure out what it is? Send me an email to info@thorconklin.com, and I'd be more than happy to get on the phone with you. We'll schedule a 15-minute discovery call. No obligation, no cost. I absolutely love to hear from the listeners, and if there's something I can do to help, I'd be more than happy to do that. Also, if you found something of great interest in today's show and you want to share that with your friends and family, simply go to my Facebook page, Thor Conklin, click on the episode, hit the share button, and share it on your page. You can follow me at Twitter at Thor Conklin. The website is thorconklin.com. We're constantly adding new free resources, discussing additional tricks, tips, tools, and strategies on how to be a peak performer. Remember, I try to keep these episodes short so you can listen to them during dot time, doing other things, commuting, driving, walking, working out. Decide to be a peak performer in all that you do. And until tomorrow, have an absolutely amazing day. That concludes part 1 of our interview with Louis Lavella. Please stay tuned later this week for part 2.